or if genuinely it's because of the fact that we are around, or we surround ourselves often with people that drain us. And we can't imagine that someone that drains us is someone that gets recharged by our presence. So every week we pick something that we're going to talk about, and generally it's because of something that's going on inside of my head, right? But this week, I think we're going to try and crash out silently. No, I've been trying. Trying as a is probably the best word to choose. But I've been trying to not get distracted by what it is that I'm feeling and how it is that I'm portraying myself in the world. And I've noticed that there's almost a lot of room. We kind of give a lot of space when we anticipate, if not expect, other people to either misunderstand us, not be understood by us, whatever route we're going to take on that. And the irony of that being the way that we choose to do things is that sometimes, yeah, you kind of get lost focusing on other people. So for our UAC this week, I got a bit stuck in exactly that set of thinking, but from a very weird angle. Okay, so absence isn't abstinence. You do not get better by removing yourself. Avoiding pain is not discipline, it's fear with a pretty bow. Your willingness to suffer is not sacrifice, it's pattern. And the lens through which others perceive you is their business, not yours. The unsaid thoughts, the unexpressed emotions, the ease at which, they interact elsewhere. You you are not an addition, you are flawed perfectly. You are not more or less based on biased metrics and self-indulgent whims. You are absent because you are focusing your attention on your shortcomings, not from a right or wrong, but from an aligned or misaligned focal point. I think I think with a lot of what it is that happens in life, it seems very easy to be misminded about the way that we interact with people, about the way that we interact with ourselves, and I think I want to get better at that, and I think this is meant to help get better with that. But it also becomes a matter of who it is that I've been, why is it that I was those types of people. This piece of information is something that I define myself by because I remember it, but a complete stranger wouldn't know that. The worst possible thing that I can think of about myself, the scariest thing that I can think of about myself, the most dangerous thing, the most happy, hopeful, energetic thing about myself are all things that I think are different to what it is that everybody else thinks. And sometimes there's a slight sense of intentionality in when we speak and how we speak, sure. But I'm getting a little bit tired of it, if I need to be honest. I think it's not about how smart you can be and how much understanding you can offer somebody else. I think it's about how much room another person, and yourself included, can give in order to not be understood. How unrehearsed is it that you can be and still show up? But that conversation kind of dissipates and disappears when we start talking about value, when we start thinking about value sometimes. And I don't think that should be the case. I mean, the amount of information that I know about you should not dictate whether or not you are valuable, whether or not you have value. And my interpretation of that is something that I can't necessarily think should be more or less right than anything else. But it seems to be the way most things go. Okay, so last week ended on the unscripted episode where there was writing. Okay, and it's the your fears fail when was the prompt from last week. So this is just the writing excerpt that I done that day, and it goes: your fears fail when you change the metric you're measuring yourself by. You are designed to exist, not achieve goals. Your failures are things you're measuring yourself by because they are things you measure others by, or things you wished you could learn lessons about to make it all easier. Too many critiques. Too many critics, not enough teachers. I don't mind I don't mind that life is difficult, and I don't mind that we are struggling, and I don't mind that there are things we are uncertain of. I do mind the fact that a lot of the times that's the only thing people can focus on. I do mind the fact that a lot of the times we feel as though our ambitions can make other people feel small. I do mind that it is not always as easy to allow yourself permission to be yourself in a lot of the spaces you find yourself in. But minding is very different if you're not willing to do anything about it. If you aren't willing to make any changes, then I think it doesn't make sense that you have a problem with a lot of the spaces that you might find yourself in. Yes, you might be reluctant to try new things, and that's a justified thing to feel. It's not a justified reason not to act. And that's where the wrestling match kind of happens inside of me. It's this is a new thing. This will be new for a long time because I will always be trying new things. I will always be attempting to understand and feel better in the way that it is that I'm doing something. But that doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong, and it doesn't mean that I'm doing it right. But it does mean that there's room for growth. And I think I'm learning that the best part of that statement is if you are willing. There is room for growth if you are willing. Because the alternative is when in doubt, crash out. But being calm is almost dangerous, hollowing, if that sometimes. It it's quiet flame, it's searing hot, it's dangerous, but it's alone. It's left in a vacuum and unbothered, it is safe. Now, I think that's where my problem with safety then comes in, because it's not potentially safe if it's unbothered. Because you should be able to have people around you and still be safe. You should be able to be in moments without safety and be able to create it sometimes. It's a bit of an iffy statement there. But it doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make it any simpler to go through the day to day. No matter how understood you are or how understanding you are. It is not as straightforward as just good people, bad people, dangerous people, safe people. Safe people become dangerous. Dangerous people become safe. Lessons get learned. Some people do decide to learn. Some people do decide to teach. Some people decide to get lost in teaching people that do not want to learn. And some people are damned if they are not going to learn from people that are refusing to teach. But don't be confused if your metrics are different to someone else's metrics, because people are people and people are selfish, and those things are different. Always. The things that you know are things that another person would never be measured by, and therefore there are things the other person would be measured by that you'd never know. So figure out your metrics. How is it that you judge people? How is it that you measure people? Who gets in and who gets kept out? And why? To what end? Are you willing to make changes? Are you willing to adapt? Are you expecting the world to adapt? There's a thing that I've been focusing on, and it's almost a matter of if I can explain something that doesn't mean necessarily that I can action it. You can understand something theoretically and not understand how to apply it practically, or vice versa. You can understand how to do something practically but not understand how to explain it theoretically. I've noticed that a lot of the times that's what happens with people's character. They cannot describe why they are the way they are, but they are that way because of something that has occurred. And that is true for both positive and negative character traits. But if it is that easy to get lost, then it means that at any point you can change. At any point you can push yourself in a particular direction, alone or not. And that doesn't mean it won't be okay. It means it might be a little bit scary for a little bit, sure. But that's allowed. And being yourself, I don't I don't understand it. Okay, this concept of self. This is something that most people that I've experienced have a problem with it. And the people that don't have a problem with it tend to not really socialize that much with many other people because of the fact that it's too much work. And I can't understand if it's too much work being a person that you aren't. I can't understand if it's too much work draining your social battery, so to speak. Or if genuinely it's because of the fact that we are around or we surround ourselves often with people that drain us. And we can't imagine that someone that drains us is someone that gets recharged by our presence. Because that's unfathomable at times. But when in doubt, crash out, having an emotional response, feeling who it is that you need to be, being that person. Okay, permit it. If you just accept that you can allow everybody in your life to be whoever it is that they want to be, close or not, then maybe you'll understand that it is not your ability to influence that's important. Maybe the most important thing that you can do, maybe the most important thing that you do, is you show up when you can and you stay away when you can't. It doesn't sound very much like a superpower. But if everybody is making their decisions based on those two things, when you are there, how you are there, in what form are you there? In conversations about affection, it's about, do you understand how the other person wants to be cared for? That's great. That's all fine and dandy. But if the other person is more adept at caring about someone else than you are, what then? Because then technically you would be getting cared for more by someone else than you care about them. Just if the metric was about caring about someone the way they want to be cared about. If you are well versed in people, if you are well versed in struggling through the mud, so to speak. But it also becomes a problem when that becomes a metric that you measure yourself by. Your ability to create safety, your ability to create calm, your ability to not crash out. Without understanding that generally it's not good for you to be triggered all the time. Generally, it's not smart for you to feel unsafe. Animals backed into a corner do very peculiar things, and most of them are dangerous to the person that's putting them in the corner. So it becomes a thing of, how are you interacting with yourself as you are engaging with people in the world? Is it fake? Is it false? Is it to create more safety even if it is at the cost of self? Is it practicing keeping the mask on while know you are being exhausted the minute you take the mask off? Is it being high energy when you are low? Is it being low energy because that is the pattern, the habit? There's a lot that you need to ask yourself, and there's a lot that I think I need to ask myself. And I think the best part about some of the conversations that I'm leaning into or that I'm learning to lean into on the podcast is that maybe I need a lot less answers than I think. You know, I've been having a couple of conversations about conflict resolution as of the last couple of days. And I think a lot of people don't actually want to resolve conflict. I think a lot of people want to have their problem and have someone else submit to that. And I don't necessarily think that that's the same thing. I always used to think that resolving conflict looked a lot like if I like blue and you like red, we decide on purple. Because it's a little bit of your decision and a little bit of my decision, and that would make it okay. I'm learning now that that's not necessarily the case, but I'm also learning that a lot of people use the word compromise in a very, very interesting way. If you are using compromise as a measure, then it is not, in fact, compromise. You see, I think my understanding of what compromise is not the blue, red, purple situation. It's more if I like blue and you like red, and we both don't like purple because it's what neither of us want, then the decision should be to remove blue as an option, remove red as an option, and remove purple as an option. Without those three things as choices, what choice do we come up with? And the key element in that decision is the we. Because sometimes a we is you are more suited to make this decision. I trust your decision and going with it. But the bigger problem is when you don't. And I think you don't trust someone's decision making when you don't understand their character. So we go back there. But the problem is, if you don't trust your own character, then even the decisions that you make are problematic because you can understand a woman, but you can't understand consequence. You can't understand, excuse me, repercussions. To be more precise, you can't understand the cost of consequence. And consequences can last a hell of a lot longer than any moment of glory. Interesting, right? Okay, so standard thing that we do in the middle of the episodes. Oh, first off, thank you again. We are on the cusp of the 500 mark. Yeah, we entering some uncharted territory right now. So I just want to say thank you for that. If you are enjoying this episode, is feeling a little bit different to what it is that I'm normally like trying to add into an episode. Um, yeah, lower weeks are gonna lead to episodes being more like this. I do also like the unscripted openness kind of feel to it. So I might do 3 or 4 episodes, excuse me, with the unscriptedness just so that I can feel kind of where we go with that. But yeah, thank you for all of the subscribers. Welcome to all the new people that have subscribed. There are going to be probably over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks, there's going to be an addition of an advert into some of the episodes. Just kind of playing. They are a company that I've already advertised for, so it's just to kind of see if that does make sense. The third thing is I'd like to hear from you guys with regards to if you're enjoying the writing prompts. I also am kind of struggling. My brain doesn't know how to come up with an emotional state that I'm feeling while I'm reading and writing something because I'm more panicked about my writing. Okay, so there is that. And also, right, for a random share about a piece of who it is that I am as a person, I'm really quite into poetry, more specifically spoken word. Right. I have a Rudy Francisco poetry book that I would like to read out of, but I do have a question. I need to understand if reading 1 or 2 poems makes sense, or if reading a singular poem and letting it marinate per episode makes more sense. Okay, so please get back to me on that. And then, oh yeah, do the like, follow, and subscribe thing. If you are enjoying it, make sure you tell your friends, friends, just so that everybody can be ordinary and connect, right? just to kind of slot it in the middle. We have yeah, we got a little bit of an interesting selection this week. Okay, so the first of this week. Oh, we need to leave one of these out. Okay, because I've been doing the whole when in doubt crash out thing, I'm gonna leave that one on and I'm gonna change it. Okay, so we're gonna start this week with stop your crying. Okay, bit of a weird one to open with. But yeah, I'm gonna actually do this because it's gonna make it a little bit easier. Okay, so yeah, so here we have "Stop Your Crying" by VBND, Katie Tupper, and the Soul. Oh, won't work with me. And the Soulmate Collective. Okay. Then our second one is going to be Master Action by Lucas Home. Also, really, really nice. The energy is a little bit all over the place this week, like always. Then we have third up, Don't Worry About Me by MJ Duke. Okay, we're back on the MJ Duke thing. And then we have our episode name, I guess, Crash Out by Litz. I think this is the third pop up by Litz. And then we will close off this week's one with Blessed by August Charles. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out because there's another MJ Duke song that I wanted to add onto the list that we will circle back to. Yeah, so that's our music recs. This week, I'm gonna go on an old anime rec. I'm not gonna give you guys something new. I'm just gonna go on to Dandadan. Guys, Dandadan is everybody's life story, just kind of in a weird, high color, glossy anime with Momo and Okuran. And I think every girl is a Momo and every guy is a Okuran. I just don't think we are everybody's counterpart. We don't. Not everyone's your Momo and not everyone's your Okuran. Yes, there is a lot of chasing of golden testicles, and that might be a little bit confusing as it's an anime. But there are aliens and there are ghosts, and I think it's worth your time. Season 2 is wrapping up, so is that. But it's a great watch. Just enjoy it. Let your inner child kind of just shine a little bit, okay? But yeah, that's our anime rec. Now, I actually wanted, because we haven't done a big talk question, okay? And we haven't done a writing prompt for this week. So the new thing is we said we're going to close off on writing prompts because, yeah, we need to practice getting a little bit more comfortable thinking and kind of putting our thoughts down, and after that analyzing ourselves, so that we can get a little bit more comfortable with our own character. Do not mind whatever is going on in your life. You are important enough to influence change. You are driven enough to alter the direction of any route you are already on, even if you are alone. And you are not measured by the world's ability to give you an outcome that you expect. Okay, so that's the three things that I'm just going to say off the bat. I'm obviously going to do the standard thing of stay curious, stay kind, stay connected. I have been Keegan. This has been The Ordinary Connection. Thank you for your time. For your writing prompt for next week, okay, it's going to be simple. You create. That's it. You get to start with you create and run with it wherever you want to go. Okay? Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Cheers.